Good morning, class 9 children. Welcome back. Today, as per the routine, you have English 2 or English literature to continue. Um, from our textbook Treasure 2, we have completed two of the poems from our poetry section and two of the stories from our prose section. Hope you are revising the taught chapters at home. And let me tell you, the chapters which are taught through online classes will not be repeated when the school gets reopened, because uh, I have told you earlier also that when the school gets reopened, we'll be left with limited time to cover the remaining chapters we have in our syllabus. And class 9 syllabus, as per the council's syllabus, there are more of the chapters to be completed. That's why we need to gallop as soon as possible. That is why whatever videos are uploaded, whatever works are given to you, please view them and work accordingly, because time lost is the loss of everything, right? So keep watching all those videos and then try to understand whatever chapters are being taught, right? So today let us come back to our prose section and see a new story. And to understand the background, or to talk about the background of the chapter, you all know that many a times people face a lot of embarrassing moments, right? Embarrassing moments means when you are in a very odd situation, right? So how are you going to overcome from that odd situation or from that embarrassing moment, right? The writer has discussed very beautifully about the incident that took place in the story, right? So what the story is about, and who the writer is, and what is he going to tell in the story, let us now find it out. So the story is chapter number 4, Hearts and Hands, written by the world famous short story writer O. Henry. So let us see the page 69. So first and foremost, let me just brief out about the author O. Henry. The great author O. Henry is the pen name of William Sidney Potter. William Sidney Potter is the original name of the author, and he is uh, famous by his nickname O. Henry. So the people know him as O. Henry, right? The great author O. Henry was born on 11th September in the year 1862 in the US, right? And died on 5th June in the year 1910, right? So uh, he happens to be a great American author, right? And his stories are very, very famous. Some of the well-known stories are The Gift of the Magi. If you have heard it or if you have read somewhere, it's a very beautiful story written by him. There are so many others um, which are equally famous. So if you come across any of the stories written by O. Henry, please read them. They are very beautiful, right? And O. Henry happens to be one of the, you can say, most demanded authors of everyone, right from the childhood to the adulthood of the age of the people. Now see, so what is the hallmark of O. Henry's stories is, um, his stories have a very surprise ending, and that is what it makes his story very readable, right? There is always a surprise ending in the story or the stories which he has written, right? So until and unless we come to know what is the end of the story, we feel like reading it further and further and further and come to the end of it, right? That is the you can say the charming part of the author O. Henry, right? So this is about O. Henry or William Sidney Potter, as I have just now told you about him. So now let us see what he writes in the story Hearts and Hands. So it's a beautiful story, right? It is a story about Mr. Easton, right? Who is in an embarrassing situation and how he comes out of it, let us now find out in this story, right? So see, Hearts and Hands, written by O. Henry. The story opens at a railway station. We are in America. We are at the Denver station, right, in America. So see, and here we see B&M Express train is ready to take its journey. It is stationed now at the Denver station. The passengers are all getting into their respective compartments, right? Now the story begins. So see, at Denver, there was an influx of passengers into the coaches of the eastbound B&M Express. Now see, the story opens at Denver station, right? There was an influx. Influx means arrival, coming of many passengers. You know how the railway station is always crowded. There are throng of people, right? Dashing, pushing, jostling. They are all, in a hurry to get into their respective seats, right? So here also you see at Denver station, there was an influx. Influx means arrival or coming of many passengers into the coaches, their respective compartments on the eastbound B&M Express. Eastbound means the train B&M Express is moving towards east. It is stationed at west and is moving towards east, right? And people are all now getting into their respective coaches. Coaches means compartments. In one coach, there sat a very pretty young woman, dressed in elegant taste and surrounded by all the luxurious comforts of an experienced traveler. And the author, O. Henry, takes us to one particular compartment. And there we see a very beautiful looking young lady seated, dressed in elegant taste. Elegant means stylish dress she had put on, since she is a young girl, beautiful looking, and she has also dressed up herself to match with her looks, right? And surrounded by all the luxuries, and around her on the seats there are a lot of things kept, comforts for of an experienced traveler. But she is not uncomfortable. She is comfortable because she has done a lot of train travelings, so she knows where to keep what and what to keep what, right? So everything she has managed it around her, right? Because she is a regular train traveler, right? And you know how difficult it is to travel in a train. You have to be very, very cautious, because there are so many people who look for a chance to steal the things, steal away the things from you. That's why you need to be very, very careful. But this young lady is very habituated in taking the train travels, right? So she has kept her things around her, and she has um, found a seat and was seated there. Among the newcomers were two young men, and after some time there entered two people inside the same compartment where the beautiful young lady was seated. One of handsome presence with a bold, frank countenance and manner. The one was a young fellow who looked handsome, right? And he looked courageous, he looked bold, and frank countenance, and he had a very frank facial expression that if you want to talk to him, he is ready to talk to you at any moment. Such kind of look he had, and manner, and his manner also looked very frank, right? He did not look reserved, right? The other, a ruffled, glum-faced person, and the other person was ruffled. Ruffled means quite an aged man. He had wrinkles on his face. His skin had got folds. Glum-faced person, and he was a gloomy-looking man. He looked quite sad on his face. Heavily built and roughly dressed, and he was heavily built, muscularly built, right? He was physically fit, right? Though old, and roughly dressed, and his dress up was rough, not neat and tidily dressed, right? As compared to the other one. The other was young and good looking. The two were handcuffed together, and what was surprising about these two, both of them were handcuffed, right? So this is very surprising. Now why are these two handcuffed? This is a question. As they passed down the aisle of the coach, the only vacant seat offered was a reverse one facing the attractive young woman, right? So the two of them came searching inside the aisle for a seat. Aisle is a passage between the two rows of seats, right? What What is an aisle? An aisle is a passage in between the two rows of seats. So in the train you have the aisle, right, where the passengers do walk to take their seats. As they passed down the aisle of the coach, so they entered in the coach looking for the seat, the empty seat. The only vacant seat offered, the only vacant seat, empty seat was just opposite, reverse means opposite to the young lady who was seated, right? Or one facing the attractive young woman. Attractive means beautiful looking young woman. There was an empty seat in front of her. Here, the link couple seated themselves. Link couple is their hands are here joined because of the handcuff. They are called, that's why they are called link couple. Here the link couple seated themselves. Who are this couple? One a young looking man, the other the old, roughly but physically built man. Their hands were handcuffed. They both took the seat, the empty seat just in front of the young lady. The young woman's glance fell upon them with a disdain, swift disinterest. So the young woman was seated there, and she was uh, not with a smile on her face. She was perhaps disinterested to talk to any people, because I already said in a train travel you have to be very very cautious. You have to be very very careful, because who knows what kind of people would be seated in front of you or around you, and they always look for a chance to steal away anything of the valuables from you. That's why you need to be very careful. So she was seated there, right? And the young woman's glance means look, fell upon them with a disdain. So she was exactly opposite to the two who had just come and seated there. So she looked at these two, the two men, right? She was disinterested, but she was not interested to talk to these two, because one thing, when you are doing train travel, you need to, when you are alone, or when you are in a family or in a company, if somebody who is gentle enough to listen to you, talk to you, it is a good way to pass the time to reach to your destination, because somebody is talking to you and your time goes by, right? So you look forward for a man who would come and at least chit chat with you, right? So she perhaps was also looking for the same, right? So see, then with a lovely smile brightening her countenance and a tender pink tinging round her rounded okay cheeks, she held out a little grey gloved hand. So at first she was disinterested to talk to these two men who just now came and sat, and suddenly what happened? The beautiful looking girl had a smile on her face, as if she knows one of them, right? So see, her smile brightened up, her face glowed, her countenance, there was a very happy facial um, uh, look of that young lady, and a tender pink tinging round her face, and her face also became quite pink, because she found here that somebody has come here and taken a seat who is known to her, right? She held out a little grey gloved hand, and she stretched her right hand in order to have a handshake with that known person who had just now come and seated, right? She was wearing the glove, grey color glove, right? So she gave her hand to have a handshake with the man whom she knows, right? There is a smile, brightened smile on her face, right? At least somebody is there who is known to me now. I can talk to him and then have my train journey a very happy journey, right? When she spoke, her voice full, sweet, and deliberate. So when she spoke, her voice was very sweet, right, and deliberate, and she was very cautious at the same time. Proclaimed and announced that its owner was accustomed to speak and be heard. And see that its owner was accustomed to. Accustomed to means used to speak and be heard. That means she herself wanted to have a talk with the man, and she also wanted the man to talk back to her. So in this way, in this conversation, like they can have the time pass in the train journey to reach to their respective destinations safe and fine, right? So you see what happened in the you can say railway station, Denver station, right? So then what happened, you see, Well, Mr. Easton, now the young lady speaks. The beautiful young lady speaks to the man, giving her hand to have a handshake with him. Well, Mr. Easton, so she even called the person by his name. She called she called him Mr. Easton, right? So she is well aware of that person. If you will make me first speak first, I suppose I must. So she said, so if you want me to talk first, so I think I must begin to talk to you. So let me begin, if not you. Don't you ever recognize old friends when you meet them in the West? And she had a question, right? She asked the question to him. So don't you recognize, don't you know the person, your old friend, one of your old friends, where we are meeting after a long time gap in the West, right? And I told you they are in the West and the train is going towards East, right? So she asked, right, Mr. Easton, right? So if you want me to begin the conversation first, so let me begin, right? And she asked a question, don't you know, old friend of yours, meeting after a long time gap in the West? She asked. The younger man roused himself sharply at the sound of her voice. So the younger man, the man who was looking handsome, right? He got roused. Roused means suddenly he was alerted. He was startled, surprised. Who called me, right? Amongst this crowd, who knows me, right? Himself sharply, sharply means quickly. He reacted quickly at the sound of her voice. Seemed to struggle with a slight embarrassment, and see here the Mr. Easton, the man, he seemed to struggle with a slight embarrassment. Embarrassment means feeling quite awkward. There was an awkward feeling in him. There was an odd feeling in him, right? That's not which he threw off instantly. But this awkwardness in him, this oddity in him, remained only for short time, short duration. At once he threw that embarrassment from him, right? And he became normal, right? So when the young lady called his name, Mr. Easton, right? Listen now. So the man, he at first got alerted. He was sudden with his reaction, but this sudden reaction in him, right, remained only for momentary. He threw that embarrassing moment at once, right, and became normal. And then said what? And then clasped her fingers with his left hand. And then he also gave his hand to have a handshake with that young lady, but he used his left hand. The girl gave her right hand to have a handshake. The man gave his left hand to have a handshake with the girl, right? And what did he say? See, right? It's Miss Fairchild. And Mr. Easton also recognized who this young lady is. So he also looked at her face and recognized her, and he addresses her as Miss Fairchild. Fairchild is the name of this young lady, beautiful young lady. It is Miss Fairchild, he said with a smile. There is a smile on his face. A moment ago, there was an embarrassment in him, right? And within no time, there is a smile on his face, right? I'll ask you to excuse the other hand. And he gave a reason, right? I ask you to excuse giving my right hand to have a handshake with you, he said, right? I'm sorry that I could not give my right hand to have a handshake with you, right? It is otherwise engaged just at present. So he says, because my right hand is engaged, right? Involved now. It is engaged now, he said, right? He slightly raised his right hand, bound at the wrist by the shining bracelet, to the left one of his companion. And he gave a reason also why he was not able to shake hand with his right hand, right? So he slightly raised. He raised his right hand and showed to the young lady. Bound at the wrist by the shining bracelet, and he showed the bracelet. What is bracelet here? Here bracelet is handcuff. That is hand is handcuff. That's why he's not able to give his right hand to have a shake hand with Miss Fairchild. To the left one of his companion, and his right hand is handcuffed with the left hand of his companion. Companion, who that companion was? The companion was the old or the wrinkled faced, gloomy faced, roughly built man, right? Roughly dressed man and strongly built man, right? So the strongly built man's left hand was handcuffed with the right hand of Mr. Easton, right? So he gave a reason why he was not able to give his right hand to have a handshake with Miss Fairchild. The glad look, the happy look in the girl's eyes, is in Miss Fairchild's eyes, slowly changed to a bewildered horror. Her happy face, her very brightened face, the smiling face of Miss Fairchild slowly changed to a bewildered. Bewildered means confused horror. Horror means shock. She was shocked, right? She was confused and shocked to see the handcuff, because you all know, right? Whose hand is handcuffed, right? Basically, it is the culprit, it is the wrongdoer, it is the criminal whose hand is handcuffed. So she at once got alerted, right? And the smile on her face vanished, disappeared. She was very happy to see one of her known persons there, right? At least Mr. Easton, who is known to her. Uh, he happens to be a friend to her, and to meet after a long time in the railway station and in the train, right? To go to a journey, it would be very fine for her, she thought. But now her every happiness changed after she saw the hand being handcuffed. Right? The glow faded from her cheeks. So the glow means sign. The sign on her face faded, vanished, disappeared. Right? Understand? So the smiling face of the young lady got vanished from her face. Her lips parted in a vague. Her lips parted in a vague. Vague means unclear, right? Relaxing distress. There was a pain in her. The very happy face of Miss Fairchild became painful to see the handcuff in her friend's hand. Easton, with a little laugh, as if amused, was about to speak again when the other forestalled him. So Mr. Easton was about to say something, right, to Miss Fairchild, but the other one, the glum-faced man, spoke, interrupted, right? So before Mr. Easton could say or tell anything, here the strongly built man said something. What did he say? See, when the other forestalled him. Forestall means he anticipated something beforehand. When you know something is going to happen beforehand, is called here forestall. So here the strongly built man understood something is going to happen. That's why he came in middle and talked to this young lady. What did he say? See, the gum-faced man had been watching the girl's countenance with veiled glances. So when the two were talking to each other, the Miss Fairchild and Mr. Easton, the strongly built man, the gloomy-faced man who had no smile on his face, had been watching the girl's countenance, had been watching the girl's facial expression, facial look, with veiled glances. Veiled glances means with hidden looks, with covered looks. From his keen, shrewd eyes, from his very sharp, keen means very sharp, eager, shrewd eyes means practical eyes. So the old man was giving his practical eyes to see the beautiful girl's face, Miss Fairchild's face, and he was reading it, right? And then he spoke something. What did he say? You will excuse me for speaking, miss, but I see you are acquainted with the marshal here. So he said, please excuse me, dear young lady, because I don't know you, you don't know me, but yet I am speaking to you. So please apologize, please excuse me, right? But I see you are acquainted, but I know, I see you are acquainted. Acquainted to means known. You are known to this marshal, right? Marshal is the police officer. So the glum-faced man said that Mr. Easton is the police officer, and I say that you are already known to him. If you will ask him to speak a word for me when we get to the pen is the prison, he will do it. So if you ask Mr. Easton about me when we get to the prison, then Mr. Easton will explain everything to you, and it will make things easier for me there, and it will also make me the things easier when we reach to the prison, right? He is taking me to Leavenworth prison. And then the glum-faced man said that Mr. Easton is taking me to Leavenworth prison, right? Leavenworth is a place where he is being taken to imprison him there, right? It is 7 years for counterfeiting, and he told the reason why is he being taken to the prison. He is being taken to the prison for counterfeiting. Counterfeiting means in a fraud case. When somebody tries to make money through wrong way, it's called counterfeiting, right? So um, the glum-faced man said that he is a prisoner, and Mr. Easton is a police officer, and I am found guilty by the court, and now I am given 7 years imprisonment, and so I am being taken to the Leavenworth prison. Here, the glum-faced man told this to Miss Fairchild, who is quite uneasy after seeing the handcuff in her friend Mr. Easton's hand. Right? Oh, said the girl. Now the girl, Miss Fairchild, speaks. Oh, now she realizes that she was wrong to identify her friend Mr. Easton, who perhaps was a culprit. But now she knows that he is a police officer. With a deep breath and returning color, she took a long breath, a long audible breath, a breath of relaxation, right? Understand? So that is what you are doing out here. And then she speaks to Mr. Easton. Oh, that is what you are doing out here. A marshal. Oh, you have become a marshal. You are a marshal. You are a police officer, right? She becomes happy again. The smile, the lost happiness on her face is again back. Clear? Because nobody wants to talk to a person who is a criminal. And when you see a person who is known to you and is being handcuffed, you'll try to avoid going near to the person because you don't want to be a witness to the law and order. It's very tough, right? That's why she was very, very sad on seeing Mr. Easton's hand being handcuffed. Perhaps she thought that she is a culprit, and she doesn't want to make or build any, you can say, casual relation with the person who is guilty out there. That's why she tried herself to avoid herself, right? Avoid him. But now the confusion was erased from her, right? She now came to know that it is Mr. Easton is a police officer, right? There's now. Now, what happens thereafter? Let's see. Oh, said the girl with a deep breath and returning color. So her color, the lost color, is again back on her face. She's happy now, and so she very happily says, "Oh, that is what you are doing out here. That means, oh, you have become a police officer here in the West." She says, right? My dear Miss Fairchild, said Easton calmly. Now Mr. Easton very patiently speaks to to Miss Fairchild. My dear Miss Fairchild, I had to do something. So he said, when I'm grown up, right, I have to do something for my life, for my okay living. Money has a way of taking wings onto itself. So money is very important for everybody. Money is an important matter. We all need money, right? And in want of money, you have to do something, right? You have to become someone when you grow up. That's what Mr. Easton explained or told Miss Fairchild. And it takes money to stay with our crowd in Washington, and Washington is a busy city, and you need to have a lot of money to go along with the crowd. Otherwise, you will be left far behind, right? So money will take you to your proper place. That's what he explained. I saw this opening in the West, and well, a marshalship isn't quite as high a position as that of ambassador, but, and then he told, Mr. Easton said, right, because this is what my need is. Everybody's need is money. Is, after all, everyone wants it, right? Listen, and for want of money, you have to become somebody in your life, right? And when you're living in the busy place like Washington, you need to have plenty of money earned, right? And well, a marshalship, and a marshalship means a police officer is not that type of a job like an ambassador's job is, right? Ambassador is a diplomat, right? He is an officer who is sent to a foreign country or to another country to build the relationship between the two countries. So that is what his work is. Here, Mr. Easton said that police officer's work is, according to himself, he said that it is a worthless job as compared to an ambassador. An ambassador's job is a worthy job, a job of life, he said, right? But before he could complete his sentence, Miss Fairchild speaks, who says, the ambassador, said the girl, warmly, doesn't call anymore, but she says here that she gave her own preference, saying that ambassador's work is not that interesting job as the police officers is. According to her, she said. According to Miss Fairchild, she said, he needn't ever have done so. So you don't need to do or become an ambassador, right? You ought to know that. So you must know that an ambassador's job is a very boring job, according to her, she said, and one should not become an ambassador. She means this. And so now you are one of these dashing Western heroes, and so you have become one of these dashing means fashionable Western heroes, because police officers' job is a heroic job. You all know how the Indian Bollywood heroes have played the roles of police officers in many of the movies, right? This and so as and so now you are one of these dashing Western heroes, and you ride and shoot and go into all kinds of danger, because police officer's job is to ride a horse. He rides a motorcycle, so he has his own personality, right? And he carries a pistol, and he uses it to shoot the criminals, right? And go into all kinds of danger, and he faces all kinds of dangers. That's why a police officer's job is, right, a heroic job, Miss Fairchild said, right? So she appreciated her friend Easton becoming the police officer, or Marshall has said, right? It is far better than becoming an ambassador, according to her, she said. That is different from the Washington life. You have been missed from the old crowd, right? And she told that it's been long years that you have been missed in the friend circles, right? Many of her friends have gone here, there, they have become these, that, and I see you have become a police officer after a long time gap. I'm very happy, right? That is what Miss Fairchild told Mr. Easton, right? Understand? Now what happens thereafter, right? We'll keep this as first part in the explanation of the story Hearts and Hands, written by O. Henry. Now the remaining part, or part 2, we'll again see it in our next English 2 class. So we'll keep it up to here. Thank you so much.